property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by JGP Janitorial. Lose the mop, they'll clean the slop. JGP Janitorial, 548-1221.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Business Buzz.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Business Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and I am happy to say that this morning on the Business Buzz, we have in here from the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office, we have Miss Carolee Nunez. She's an examiner. We have Omara Whittaker, also the first Caymanian examiner that I understand. Toot, toot, toot. Big applause for Omara as well. And we have Suzette Ebanks, Head of Commerce Policy, Ministry for Financial Services and Commerce. And we have Ducent, Senior Business Advisor, Cayman Islands Center for Business Development. Good morning, ladies. How are we all doing today?
Good morning. Excellent. Thank you for having us.
Wonderful. Good to have you. And Suzette, I know I just saw you, I think, the other week in the grocery store, and I feel like I hadn't seen you in years, and here we are a week later in studio together. So very, very glad to have you in here on a different kind of a note as usual. So it's good to have you ladies in studio this morning. So we're talking about the Trademarks Act 2016 and the Trademarks Regulations 2017, a little bit about some legislation that's looking to be amended before the end of the year. And in particular, it has to do with trademarks, intellectual property. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that. And I'm not sure who wants to give a little summary of exactly what is intellectual property, why we as business owners or leaders should be concerned about our intellectual property.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Omara Whittaker, and I'm from the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office. We are a department under the Ministry of Finance, and we are responsible for granting IP rights. So intellectual property is basically the creation of the mind. It is an intangible asset that has value. And there are 4 types of intellectual property. We have trademarks, patents, copyright, and design rights.
Okay.
Miss Carolee, you want to
jump in there, Carolee?
Intellectual property, the different types.
Hey, good morning. So as Omara said, we have 4 types of IP: trademarks, patents, copyrights, and designs. Designs actually protects the design of an object. Patents are usually inventions. Trademark is a name, it can be a logo, a combination of name and logo, letters or numbers that protects one person's undertaking from that of another. And copyright really refers to literary and artistic works, dramas, that sort of thing. IP is important. Like Omara said, it is an asset, and as with other assets, you can use them to do several things. You can assign, you can license an asset. You can use it as a guarantee in banks. It has value.
It absolutely has value. I'd have to agree with that. And it's such an interesting thing to think about. I think when you said, Omara, I might not be quoting you exactly, but it's like ideas of the mind.
Yeah, right. Creations of the mind.
Creations of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an intangible thing. You can't pick it up.
Right.
You can't touch it. You can't feel it. It's just an idea, intangible. And how do you protect those? So that's a very interesting thing. And I know that there's been some cases, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that, where when somebody hasn't protected their ideas that has to do with their business, how that's gotten them into some hot water and how they've had to kind of navigate to figure out how to get out of that, out of those situations. But it's important because I think as a business owner, when you have an idea or you have a design and you don't protect it, you have that risk of a competitor taking that exact idea
Yes.
and doing that exact same thing and running with it and perhaps being very, very, very successful. And you as the originator, who might not have had the same push or investment or whatever it is behind you, knowledge, whatever it could be, that could have been you with that same success, but you didn't protect that idea, right? So I guess when it comes to that, I noticed in the press that had to do with the proposed legislative changes to the Trademarks Act, why did we kind of focus on creatives and entrepreneurs in this segment of when the press came out saying, hey, we're going to change the law a little bit, we're going to amend it, but this is particularly great for entrepreneurs and creatives that can benefit from the proposed changes?
As Carolee and Omara were explaining, trademarks can be a combination of words, of visuals, or visuals and words, and it's but taken together, it's the kind of the unique visuals that we associate with a brand, a company, etc. And kind of by its nature, in that sense, it is creative. It is something that...
It's an asset. It's part of your brand, yeah.
Exactly. But why we're focusing particularly on trademarks? If we agree that trademarks are by nature something that is creative, is the kind of the words and the look that you want associated with your company.
Right.
That the reason that we're focusing on trademarks in particular right now, and it's only the first phase of a multi-phase process that will look at the other kinds of intellectual property as well, it's because trademarks are currently the only kind of intellectual property that can be directly registered in the Cayman Islands. At the moment, you can also register design rights and patents. Those are extended from the UK. So you have to register in the UK first, and then the registration is extended here. But trademarks, you can register directly. So that is kind of why we're starting with that particular field, and it so happens that it is creative.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that our minister as well has always been strongly supportive of people in those fields, because those are kind of there are a lot of small and micro businesses, and the ministry is committed to supporting those people.
And it's definitely growing. And as a phrase that I'm hearing, I'm sure everybody here is hearing, there's that kind of creator economy happening as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of unusual career paths. And I would say unusual maybe to our generation, but not necessarily the younger generations, in the sense that they do have way different avenues in looking how to make money.
And that kind of economy is taking hold around the world. So we're just trying to kind of stay up to speed.
Okay, gotcha. So the first kind of rollout is in looking at the trademarks and how we can get them registered in the Cayman Islands and protected. And
you can already register them in the Cayman Islands, and they're already protected. And that's why we're starting with that, because it's already here and it's in place. So that's the first update. And then we'll have the other kinds of intellectual property as we move through the different phases of the project. We're going to look at those and how we can kind of go through the same process of local registration here.
Okay.
And in the same way that trademarks, since direct registration, registration's just taken off. We're hoping that when we get to the stage of allowing direct registration for those kinds of intellectual property, that businesses will also be able to benefit from them, or will see the benefit of them, as they have clearly for trademarks.
Okay. Now, we said registering in the Cayman Islands, and there's still the possibility that you can register in the UK with, I think, did you mention the other?
Design rights and patents.
Patents, okay. So what does this mean if you're getting it registered, whether it's in the Cayman Islands or UK? Are you just protected in Cayman? Are you just protected in the UK or globally?
Intellectual property is territorial. You have to register in each jurisdiction that you plan to use your IP rights. So in the Cayman Islands, you can do direct registration of trademarks, which means you would enlist the services of one of our registered intellectual property agents, and they will assist you with your filings, and they will correspond directly with our office.
Okay, that seems in every single jurisdiction you have to register.
Yes.
Can you go through a process where I might go to a registering agent in one jurisdiction and say, hey, Omara, I don't know if you can help me with this. I know you're an examiner, right? So maybe you can tell me the difference with the roles there in a second. But could I come to you and say, I would like you to be able to help me with this and assist that I get this protected in all of the jurisdictions that matter? Can I go to one person and do that? Or
No.
oh, bummer. What's the steps that you have to take if that's the case?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
There is a system, the Madrid system, that actually does just that, where you can go to an attorney and you tell them you want your mark registered in Cayman, and I also want it registered in Africa, in Haiti, and you list your countries, and those marks can be registered, right? But that system, we don't have that here in Cayman. So
And we're not a part of the Madrid
right.
protocol system, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't signed on to those treaties. So right now we just provide direct registration.
Okay.
You come directly to us to get your mark registered. There's no need anymore to go through the UK to obtain registration first and then have it extended to us. You can just come directly to us. So right now it's only for registration here
Okay, gotcha.
on the islands.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know if you can answer this, but it seems that it could be an expensive thing having to register in all sorts of jurisdictions.
Definitely it would be expensive.
Okay, whew, that's
But you would only
Yeah.
register if you're going to use your IP in that jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but again, so ideas and things, visuals that we see, those are all kind of intangible. They float around everywhere, right, all around the world. So if somebody in, I don't know, let's say some Asian country sees my trademark, they just somehow stumble upon my social media for my business, for example, and they see my logo and they're like, oh, I really like that. I want to do the exact same thing. And they just take that and copy it. And I don't have that trademark, I guess, registered in that jurisdiction, that country. They have all legal rights to be.
I guess it's
Okay.
about. Go ahead.
Okay, so you're talking two things there. First, when you spoke about going to somebody and just saying you want your marks registered in all of those countries, I thought you were speaking about that particular system, Madrid system, where you can have one mark registered and you designate other countries that you want your mark registered in. However, if you have a brand that you want to protect and you're thinking that you're going to be doing business at some point in the US and some point in France, you can reach out to attorneys in those jurisdictions and get your mark registered wherever you choose or wherever you feel that you would be doing business with your mark.
Right.
When I answered you first, it was based on that system that most people utilize, and other countries have signed on to it, where I come and I ask you to register one mark and just designate the other countries that we want it registered in. So just for clarification purposes, we register here in Cayman, but if you have that brand and you think you're going to do business in the US, you can contact an attorney in the US or go to an agent here and have them make contact with an attorney out there in order that you can get that application filed, that you have protection likewise.
Yes, and I completely understand that. I think you were very clear in your answer. That made sense to me. I think where I came from is, okay, thinking as an entrepreneur, as somebody with a small business, thinking, okay, will it cost me, or how much will it cost me now I know I can't go to one person here to be able to register in all the countries, but I'm worried that my logo might be stolen from somebody.
I guess it's about assessing your business plan, assessing your budget, and assessing your risk, and deciding whether you need to go for it.
And also in a lot of jurisdictions, you have to prove use. So if you're not going to use it, the registration will probably not be granted if you cannot prove use of that trademark in that country.
But
Yeah.
you
Go ahead.
use is a touchy thing because you may not be using it, but you can file the application on the grounds that you intend to use it on an intent to use basis. However, you usually have a period of years within which you would have to prove use. there are certain jurisdictions, like at the time when you're actually renewing that trademark after you have already registered it and you're renewing it, you within that renewal application, you would have to show that you have used, or you'd have to make a statement that you have put that mark to use. Because in certain jurisdictions, if you haven't put it to use by 5 years, somebody can file to have that trademark revoked.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. Interesting. And thank you, because you already read ahead the kind of question that I had. What does the use kind of aspect mean? So
it's not about just getting there and filing the mark because you just want to have it out there.
And protect it everywhere. Yeah.
Right? And not use it. Because remember, there are people that file what you call blocking applications. They make sure they file it that you, the actual owner of that trademark, can't go and file it in another country because they've already filed it there and block you from registering it.
That's very bad mind. Why?
Well, because at the end of the day, if you really want it, and that, again, like we say, trademark has value. If you really want it and you want to protect that brand, and your brand has been bringing in some good funds, then you have to come to me and ask me to sell it to you.
Oh,
and I will sell it
at a higher
for so
price.
much money. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So that's why some people, they file it in bad faith.
I feel like you kind of have this business plan going, because the way that you said that, like, yes. You might have some business ideas running behind the scenes there, Carolee. Well, I don't know. We'll see. But that's a really, really good point. And a scary one, too. But as Suzette said, you assess your risk, assess your budget. Omara pointed out, are you going to be using that logo there? The use has to be shown there. That trademark has to be shown there. So are you going to be doing business in that particular area? And if you are getting really big, I think it's something that you definitely have to consider, because, yes, we do know people that will be like, okay, I see what they're doing. I see what they missed. Let me step ahead of them a couple steps in the game. And now they're going to have to come to me to be able to go further with whatever service they're doing.
Remember, you can always take a page out of it's Malaysia. The young lady that has the Women's Haven.
Yeah.
She had to register in other jurisdictions.
Right.
And remember, she encountered a problem here where she saw, her images. And it wasn't her that actually put it in the stores. Somebody else was actually infringing her mark. But she took the steps to make sure that she registered wherever she thought she would be doing business, or wherever she intends to do business, because she already knew what that felt like when she got burned here.
Right.
Seeing her products on the shelves.
Right.
So
it was a complete duplicate of her product, of her brand.
The thing to do is to lower the cost here. So we're proposing to allow individuals, micro and small businesses, to register their own intellectual property rather than having to work through a registered agent.
Yes.
Which removes that cost. And we're also proposing to waive the registration fee, which, granted, only covers one class of intellectual property, and then the subsequent annual fees for the next, 10 years?
Oh, 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's about $200 a pop for the registration, the initial registration fee, and then the subsequent annual fees are all $200. The ladies from CIIPO can tell you more about what that would look like in practice if those proposals are accepted.
We got to go to a commercial break, so I'm quite late for that commercial break. Sorry, Susan. We got to a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll get into those details.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Is your office ready for a spotless shine? This September, GJP Janitorial is offering an incredible 50% discount for all new corporate clients, micro, small, medium, and large businesses. With over 20 years of experience, they know how exactly to keep your workspace clean and professional, reliable, efficient, and priced right. GJP Janitorial is the smart choice for any business. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Call 548-1221 for your free quote today and 50% off your office cleaning. GJP Janitorial. Lose the mop, they'll clean the slop. That's 548-1221. Keep your business shining.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Business Buzz.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about the upcoming amended legislative changes to the Trademarks Act 2016, I think it is, yes, and the Trademarks Regulations 2017. And it is a change in legislation that is looking to benefit Caymanian entrepreneurs and creatives. And we are on the very first kind of change of the amendments that are coming that has to do with the trademark aspects, which falls under intellectual property. I don't know if you heard coming back from the break, Carolee was giving me a bit of a lecture that I have to do some some research now in getting some of my own stuff protected in a business sense. So yes, I'm on that. I do be attending some of the seminars. I just have to get the rest into action. So that's a small action.
While the teachers are
right? I know. It's like I'm telling on myself, like I'm not doing it. I'm attending, but I'm not doing the work. That kind of thing. All right. So Suzette, right before we went to the break, you had mentioned about the fees. So that's a huge benefit for the entrepreneurs and creatives, which, you know, some of us can be a couple people or one person team, you know, depends. Some of us might have 10, 15, 20, but still those fee savings is a great thing. So if you could, I guess, let us know. You want to let us know, guys, of the benefits that the legislative changes are bringing.
Sure. So IP registration provides the micro and small businesses, you know, with that legal protection, as we've been talking about. It allows them to then defend their brand. You know, there are people that are using their brand without the proper authority. It gives them that protection that they need. You know, small business owners, they spend a lot of time and resources building their brand, you know, strengthening that brand and getting it to a certain quality. Now, to see someone else then come and try to, you know, utilize it and benefit from it, it's really, you know, it's really hurtful as a small business owner to see that, knowing that you could have been, like you mentioned earlier, benefiting from that. So it allows for that protection. It helps them build credibility as well. When they're trying to attract investors, that's really important to have that. You know, it is an asset that we encourage all small businesses. And the thing is, every small business has a brand. Every small business has those assets that they perhaps don't realize that they need to get protected. And, you know, this is something that we're trying to push when we are meeting with small businesses, because that's what we do on a regular basis. We meet with small businesses. We encourage them to protect their brands because that's really going to help them with their brand recognition and growing and that sort of thing. So yes, and this change is very welcome. Small businesses, they tend to be very intimidated by the process of having to register their brand, you know, having to go out and find a registered agent to be able to go through that entire process. And it's very intimidating, especially if you know, as a small business owner, don't have the funds to do this. So they back away from that. And, you know, that ends up hurting their business in many instances. So this is a very welcome change that we're happy to see coming.
Great point. Not having the funds that can hurt your business and want to do certain things, especially when it comes to protecting your whole entire brand that you've worked so long to build. It's definitely needed.
Yes.
Is there any other, I guess, protection or support that you are understanding that small businesses in Cayman need to thrive?
I think just getting educated on the matter and just understanding what intellectual property is, what exactly can be registered, what can't be registered. Because as I mentioned, a lot of them do have those intellectual properties within their businesses. They have, whether it's the processes, the systems that they've built, their logos, their designs. There are so many things that can be registered that they are not aware of.
Right.
And I think just educating them on that. And not just them, but on the flip side as well, educating the public. They can't just take somebody's brand and do whatever they want with it. There are certain systems that they need to follow.
Right.
If they do want to request permission to use it, there is a system that they really should be following and not just benefiting from someone else's hard work and, all the resources and everything that they poured into that. So educating the public as well is something that we really need to work on as well.
I'm curious because I see this all the time in Cayman. An event is happening, and it happens with Radio Cayman all the time. So an event is happening, and people will take our logo and slap it on their flyer. Nobody has asked us. We have no idea that we are allegedly a sponsor of this event. And sometimes they'll come to us and be like, could you sponsor our event? Your logo's already here. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to do that. I could be wrong, but at least where I'm from, I know it's illegal to do that. And I was like, hold on, is this coercion? Because just because our logo is there, it still doesn't mean we're going to support it, because I feel like you're almost forcing us to do that. 1. 2, is this in alignment with our brand, Radio Cayman? Do we want to be sponsoring this event? So I think when it comes to small businesses and their logos just being used everywhere, I think that's an issue too. Is there kind of any protection in that sense that you guys would know of in that, we can't be using people's logos like that, throwing it around? Omara? The eyebrows were going to you. Suzette was pointing with her eyebrows to you. With that.
So I think that's exactly the importance of educating the public on using our registry and registering your IP rights, is to get that protection that if that happens, you have legal remedies. Thais uses my logo. I can reach out to my attorney. Can you please send her a letter to cease and desist? And that's what happened with Milicia. And luckily for her trademark is registered, so her attorney was able to remedy the infringement situation. So it's about letting the public know you can't do that.
Gotcha.
That's the soft approach before you really have to reach to the courts.
Yeah.
Send them the cease and desist letter.
That's the soft approach.
That's a soft approach.
I thought that was a bit of a hard, but I like it. I
That's
like
how
it. If
serious-
that's a
that's
soft,
how
I like your
serious
soft
you can get.
approach.
Because that's a warning. That's
Okay.
a warning. If you don't listen, then we have to take then
Right.
you pursue legal action.
Okay, gotcha.
The first step to get to the soft hard approach is registration.
Registration.
Because, without registration, you don't have protection,
So as a creative, we create something. It could be an art piece. Some of the designers out there, I'll take Ebanks, for example. He has a couple of different structures that he's designed that's just out there for the public to enjoy. So as an artist and as a visual artist, somebody like him, if he creates something like this and he's done, a lot of, artists and creatives, a lot of the time we're not thinking about all the admin part, the legal processes, all the crossing your T's and dotting your I's. So if I take one of his sculptures and I'm finished with it, if I was Al, what would be the next step for him? So nobody duplicates that exact same thing. Does he go to a registered agent first to say, I need to protect this design? What would be his next step?
Well, that would be an actual copyright.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And for copyright, we don't have a deposit system.
What do you mean by deposit system?
Meaning copyright is automatic.
Automatic
So when
protection.
automatic protection. So when he has finished that statue, or when he started that statue, it's protected.
Okay.
But as you would have trademarks or brands and you come and you actually register it and get a certificate of registration, you don't have that in place for copyright, because copyright is automatic. So in his case, when I said we don't have a deposit system, we had looked and considered, and it's something still that I guess in the future we'll look at, having an actual registry database that would house all copyright work, meaning that you'd be able to come to the registry and leave a copy of what you have. No, you can't leave a copy of the statue, of course. So, but basically list with us what that copyright material is, that we actually have something on the database. Because you do have people that would ask if we have, or if we can tell them what is the status with this particular copyright material. And we're not able to do that because there's no registry for copyrights right now, right? So him having finished the product, he would have to affix his name to it somehow and keep images of when he started to work and the advancement that he has made up to the actual completion, so that if somebody tries to duplicate it and he has to seek legal recourse, then he has paperwork that can track when he initially started all the developments along the way up to the finished project.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So that kind of takes it back as well to what Ms. Suzette was saying with the grand scheme of the project. We're starting with trademarks because that's a direct registration, and that type of IP we can do the registration for, and then later on as the project grows and advances, we'll work on the different types of IP.
Gotcha.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you would know, but I'm glad that we can do this in Cayman and the fees are waived. So it was a $200, I think, the business fee, and then the registration fee was $200.
So we're going to remove the need for a registered agent to register on your behalf. That will take a big chunk out of your budget to worry about.
Do we know what that might have been?
Each agent will have their own fees.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then the registration fee, which would be with the government, with our office, that will be removed. And that's a $200 fee.
Right. That's great.
For the first class.
Okay.
And then the annual fee.
And then the annual fees will be waived as well.
Okay. So it's at least a $400, I think if I got that math right, at least a $400 savings yearly with the trademark.
With the trademark, yes.
Protection.
It's $200.
$200. It depends on the amount of classes you register your trademark in as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. Right. Okay. How?
Just emphasizing again that it's individuals, micro and small businesses.
Okay, right. Okay. So the other ones can afford it. I'm teasing you. We got to go to... We're building, yes. I understand. I'm just teasing you there, Suzette. We got to go to commercial break right now, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up our segment.
Is your office ready for a spotless shine? This September, GJP Janitorial is offering an incredible 50% discount for all new corporate clients, micro, small, medium, and large businesses. With over 20 years of experience, they know how exactly to keep your workspace clean and professional, reliable, efficient, and priced right. GJP Janitorial is the smart choice for any business. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Call 548-1221 for your free quote today and 50% off your office cleaning. GJP Janitorial. Lose the mop, they'll clean the slop. That's 548-1221. Keep your business shining.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise
at Cayman Insurance Center. Call today.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz this morning. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and in studio with me, I have Carolee Nunez, examiner with the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office, Omara Whittaker, also examiner with the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office, Suzette Ebanks, head of Commerce Policy and from the Ministry for Financial Services and Commerce, and Thais Ducent, senior business advisor with the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development. We were talking about the amended legislation coming with the Trademarks Act 2016 and the Trademark Regulations 2017, and that's going to happen hopefully before the end of the year. And we discussed what some of the benefits were. We understand why the ministry has chosen to go ahead with this. I know there's going to be a rollout of more happening, and maybe we'll get to that next. But there has been some consultations that I know the Center for Business Development has had, and I went to one of them actually that had to do with IP. So I thought it was a great training session that was, I'm going to say April-ish, sometime around April.
I believe it was for World
Intellectual. Mm-hmm. That's when it actually was, yes.
They've been good enough to host us, I think, is it 2 years?
2 years, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Will there be more consultation periods that have to do particularly with IP and trademarks with this particular legislation that's going to be amended? Or are we looking to get a little bit of input from the creative industry, or?
For sure. We, of course, the traditional government consultation when we have the bill gazetted for 28 days before it's heard in Parliament will take place later this year, ideally. Mm-hmm. But we're looking to talk to people, to entrepreneurs, to creatives, and kind of people in the sector, and get their feedback before we proceed with that.
Okay, so we're looking
in the 2 to 6 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So the center usually has lunch and learns once a month, and so we're hoping to invite them in to come and have a discussion with our small business clients.
Okay, wonderful. I like the kind of crossover marketing that you guys are doing together, because it's so important. It's important. It's important to get this message out and to have the departments work together and say, hey, this is what we can do. This is what we are doing. We need you guys to help us get this information out and to educate the public. It's so important. As I said, I've been to one. It was super informative and helpful. And I know Miss Carolee, I know that I have to. She was already pointing at me. If people could see on the YouTube, she was already pointing at me like, you better start doing your homework and get your stuff registered.
But as you pointed out, Radio Cayman as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But aren't all government assets, doesn't government take care of that? I hope so.
Yeah. What I wanted to...
sounded like a shy, yeah.
What I wanted to say is maybe Thais, I think there will definitely be a need for some sessions with educating the public as to how you actually fill out those forms when this initiative is rolled out.
Okay.
Right? Because remember, then they won't be going to an agent. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to basically educate them on what you need to fill out and how it's filled out.
Well, tell us now. Tell us now. So when we do come to the Intellectual Property Office and we say, hey, we have this trademark that we'd like to protect, what is the criteria that we would have to bring with ourselves that you guys need?
Omara will explain that.
There'll be a trademark registration application form that you would fill out, and in those sessions we would show them exactly how to fill it out correctly. And then once your application has been submitted, there's a process for registration. It takes a little time. Our registry officer would input the information, then it would go to the examiner, and we would examine to make sure that your goods and services are classified properly for your trademark, make sure that your trademark is registrable and considered a trade to be able to function as a trademark. And then once it's approved by the examiner, There's a publication period in the Gazette for the public to see what has been accepted for registration. And there's a period where it can be opposed. If Miss Kathy thinks that my logo is quite similar to hers, she can oppose it. And then there will be a process where you would give your evidence of why it shouldn't be. And then from there, the registrar will see whether who's right or who makes the best case.
So this is what you do as an examiner.
Before it gets to that part, we will examine to make sure it's registrable and it's classified correctly.
Okay.
If there's no oppositions, 60 days after it's been published, we will issue a registration certificate.
Okay, you said the classification is one thing, and there's different types of classifications under the trademark. Can you give us a bit of a summary on that?
So trademarks, you have to have goods and services associated with your trademark. So the classification system, there's classes 1 to 45, classes 1 to 34 being goods, products.
Okay.
And then classes 35 to 45 are being services that you provide. So we would examine to make sure that they are classified correctly.
Okay, that's good to know. And so you can kind of guide them if it's not necessarily classified correctly.
Right.
There's no fees to the entrepreneur creative trying to get this protected.
Normally that's what they would go to the agent to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the general public is not aware of the classification system.
Right.
So they would use their agent who would help them make sure it's classified correctly and try to have the best or the smoothest registration process.
Okay.
Now they can come directly to us.
Right. So you're taking a step away, which is great, making it easier, and then also the fees too, which is a huge benefit.
Right.
And I think as the last part of it, we are working on moving the register online so that people can search and see if they have a particular idea. I want to do a trademark that's an orchid, that they would be able, without going into CIIPO, to go online and see if what trademarks are in the register. Which currently they can't do, and there's a search fee of $50.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems like a high search fee, but okay.
So there's a proposal to waive that fee as well, so that search will be free.
Well, I hope that proposal is accepted.
Well,
but
it's quite a treat
these are
the
small.
minister has stored up
Yeah,
to roll out for you.
And it's linked to the register moving online. So obviously we have to recognize that searches done through the office take a certain amount of office time. But searches done online, with you sitting down at your home just punching in orchids, are free.
Okay, so this is a development.
Yeah, it's in development. It's in the pipeline.
In development. So this is somewhat news for us, right? I'm just going to let the newsroom know.
And this is excellent for us to know as well from the small business side of things, because we do have clients asking, well, how can I find out if someone has a logo that looks like mine?
Right.
So excellent.
It's just like when you would register a business and you're looking for the exact business name. You can search to see. There's no fee example for that search. To be able to do that with a trademark, I think is a great benefit for your small business owners as well and creatives. So where that money is such a big deal to us, so that little bit there. So I think it's a great development. Okay, I think there was one more thing, Omara, that you said as an examiner that you do. So it was one, to make sure that your trademark is in the proper class, and the second, I think you said something around, is it not fit for use, but is it
functionable as a trademark?
What do you mean by this?
Will it stand out as a what would you say, Ms. Clara, like origin? Would it be noticeable as a trademark or just as another name of a business?
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So a trademark must not be deceptive, right? It must not be descriptive either. But it should be, it must be able to identify the source, basically who it's associated with. So if you have a business where you're selling chicken, we found that the average person, when they think of a brand for that business, they're going to think of something that says fried chicken in there if they're frying chicken. Because they figure that tells you right away what my trademark is about. But what we don't want you to do is just that. Because we should not be able to identify or to know right away what services it is or goods that you are engaged in just by looking at your trademark. So if that comes to me and your mark is just fried chicken or good fried chicken or the best fried chicken.
That could be any of us. It's
right?
not unique.
It's not unique to anybody. Anybody that is selling chicken could decide to name their business that way. So
what if it was Cayman fried chicken? I'm just saying 'cause there's Kentucky fried chicken.
Then it's worse because one, you tell me what it is. It's descriptive of what the product is, and then you tell me. You've given me location, geographic location, origin. So trademark likewise is not supposed to identify the time of rendering of service or the origin of the service or goods, or it must not be descriptive of the goods or services, and it must not be deceptive. Made in Taiwan, but it's actually from the U.S. Well, made in Italy.
That happens all the time,
right? So when we look at that application now, let's go back to your application for the chicken, and you have just Cayman fried chicken, and I've already pointed out all the flags there. I can't advise you, but now I'm telling you, it would be good if you can attach a logo to that name, because you would have to disclaim all those words there. We can't grant you a monopoly over those words, because any other business that has similar undertaking should be able to use those words. But when you have just the logo there now, and you disclaim all that name, the logo still flies with the words that you have there. If it's just the words, it's an outright refusal.
Right. So if you look at the big brands like Nike, Coca-Cola, just looking at that Nike tick, you're not going to say, oh, they're selling shoes. But that's what they do. But just by looking at it, you can't tell. Adidas, same thing. Coca-Cola, you know now it's Coke because it's a big brand. But just by looking at it, you don't say, oh, they sell sodas.
Right.
So you have to be distinctive, unique.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah.
If there's anything on the actual trademark that identifies, like I told you, the type of the service or the type of goods, those things need to be disclaimed.
Okay. Right. Interesting. I feel like that's such a rabbit hole that we could go down, because I'm like, but there's so many examples I can give you that was contrary, right? So very deep. So I think that's such a rabbit hole. We've got to wrap up. So we're a little bit past. And I just want to thank you, ladies, for coming in, letting us know what the update is. I guess, can we stay tuned to what the Center for Business Development is doing when it comes to having these kind of public consultations?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we hear from the ministry as well.
When it comes 100% keep everybody updated on where things are.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur, a creative, and you want to have your input on what might be in those in the amended legislation, keep in tune. Listen to Radio Cayman, the Ministry of Financial Services and Commerce, and then the Center for Small Business Development, because they're gonna be rolling out some consultation periods. And again, this is going to be something that's going to be going on for years, because there's different phases for us to. There's going to be the patents, the designs. I forget what else is in there.
Copyright.
All right, copyright. All right. So we're on the first one, which is trademarks.
Right.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
No problem. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Business Buzz.
You too.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by JGP Janitorial. Lose the mop, they'll clean the slop. JGP Janitorial, 548-1221.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the